Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Rae here. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Rae, or you can call me Rae for short. I create content about design, lifestyle and career tips. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button before leaving, and also turn on your bell notification to get notified anytime I create any new video. So today I'm super excited for to shoot this video because finally a couple of weeks ago, I think 2 weeks now, we finally hit the milestone of 1K subscribers, and I'm so happy that, you know, a lot of people, like 1,000 people, see my content and they find value in it, to the extent that they subscribe to see more of what, you know, the kind of content that I'm putting out. It's really an encouraging reward, or it's really an encouraging way to appreciate someone's content, basically. When I first created this channel, I had so many doubts in my mind that people might not see some of the content useful. You know, I don't even know if what I'll be sharing would be something people can relate to or something that people would love to hear. And it's really beautiful to see the growth over the past few months that I've been creating content on this channel. So thank you guys for the support, for the love, for always sharing, for liking, and for always commenting. Just sometimes some of those comments are some of the things that I later end up creating content about. So thank you so much. I'm really grateful. And one more thing I would like to share for some of you that follow me on Twitter or on Instagram, then you'll have known this. So in order to celebrate the milestone of hitting 1K subscriber, I rewarded myself by getting a digital camera to improve the kind of content that I put down here, which is what I'm currently using now. I'm still trying to get a hang of it, and but yeah, I'm just really happy that I get to reward myself by getting an equipment that would improve the content, the quality of content that I put on YouTube. So yeah, thank you guys for making this happen, because I don't think I would be thinking about getting this getting the camera if I wasn't really happy about the outcome of some of the content, the outcome of the channel, basically. So thank you guys so much. Anyway, so today we'll be discussing my UX process, or my design process, the process that I go through whenever I want to design, or whenever I want to solve a problem. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Welcome back, guys. So like I mentioned, we'll be discussing my design process. So this process is something I go through every time I want to design, or every time I want to work. Every time any product designer wants to work, there's always a process that we go through to come up with a solution to a problem. So I will just first of all start by saying that this process is not linear. It's completely flexible. It's completely flexible. It's not something that you have to go from one point to the other. It's something that you can start from anywhere, and as long as you go through this process, I think you are always you always come up with the best results, at least speaking from my own experience. Okay, so I'll start by saying my first process, or the first thing, I think the process is just 4, and the first process I go through is understanding the problem. So basically understanding what the problem is. So the first thing to do when you want to understand the problem is, what is the problem itself? Is it going to be a new product that you want to build, or you want to design, or it's a new feature, or you want to revamp or improve an existing product? So those are the 3 stages, or those are the 3 kind of problem situation that you might find yourself. So after understanding whether this is a new product, or like it is an improvement, or you want to add a new feature, would determine the kind of research that you would do, basically. So after understanding what the problem is, so let's say for example it is a new feature, you want to first of all understand, why are we building this new feature? Is there a data? So that means there must have been a data that tells you that, okay, this feature would be something that would be a great benefit to the users, right? So let's say for example an existing product that you want to build a new feature for, so maybe the users are demanding for that feature, or you find out that, oh, they find something difficult and this is the solution that would definitely help them solve this problem. So those are the like situations in which you can find yourself, just basically understanding the problem you're solving. If it is an improvement, so it could be an improvement in terms of experience, or it could be an improvement in terms of visuals, and so on. So then the last one could be a new product entirely, which is you have to start doing the research, from getting to know who the user is, doing quantitative and qualitative analysis to know the kind of demographic you are building for, you are designing for, to know who the users are, basically. For the other two situation, you know who the user is already, because the data is already provided from the initial research that has been done. So don't forget that the user is always the core of any problem that we want to solve. Obviously, that's why we call it user experience and user research. Everything is about the user, because we know that we are not building for ourselves, we are building for the users. And so you have to always bear in mind that any decision you want to make is about the user. So for me, I always keep that at the back of my mind, that the user is the core of the solution that I'm building. So the next thing I do during my process, depending on the stage of the product or the solution or what I'm working on, I would do what we call a competitive analysis or a market research, whatever. It's just basically knowing who your competitors are, who are the people that has built something similar in this market. You're just trying to see what their solution look like, what are the things that they didn't do right that you can improve in your own solution. So those are the things that you need to know before you don't just jump into building a solution. You need to see what the market is like. Okay, what are these people doing right? What are they doing wrong? So the way you can do market analysis, you go to their platform, you test it out, you use the product itself. So those are the things that I do. I check out the product. If it's an application I install, I have a lot of applications on my phone just to do market research, just see what people are doing and how they are solving this problem, basically, just to be able to have an idea. Because of course it's not like you are trying to copy what they have, but just to understand how they are solving the problem in that space. Also, another thing we need to always keep in mind is that there's something we call similarities in products, and you always want to make sure that it is okay to reinvent the wheel sometimes, but in some cases you just want to make sure that your solution is something that the users they are already familiar with. They can understand what is going on. It's not something entirely new, right? So those are the reasons why we do market research, just to understand, how do people see it. And sometimes before you can even understand the problem, you need to see what it looks like in the practical sense, because sometimes some ideas may look so abstract in the head that you can't even visualize what it looks like until you see it. Like, okay, this is how these people did it. Okay, how can I improve the experience if I'm building something similar? So so those are the reasons why why market research is very important. So the next thing I do is to understand or to know what the timeline is. So the timeline is also very important, the duration that has been dedicated for this project, because the best way to know how much research you need to do is to know the time that you have to work on the product, right? So you don't want to spend so much time, because research is like the core of any product you want to build, and it's like very important. It's not something that you can do without. A product without research I don't know, it's a useless product in my opinion, right? So you want to always make sure that you know what the timeline is, so that you can dedicate the right time for, like, the right amount of time for research, and the right amount of time to start design, to ideate, and then the right amount of time to, like, validate or test. So you want to, like, understand, okay, this is, of course you have to understand the problem first before you now say, oh, this is the time that it would take for me to work on this product. And also, if you would not know if it works with the the time that the stakeholders want you to work on it, that is your clients, or even the PM that you are working with if it's in a company, basically. So the next thing you do is, after getting all those data from your research, you understand who the user is, you've done quantitative or qualitative analysis depending on the product, like I mentioned, whether it is new feature or whether it is an improved feature, an improvement to a product, or whether you are building a completely new feature. You have to do your research, do quantitative, qualitative, because all these things are very important, but like they have situations in which you use them. Sometimes you don't need to really do quantitative analysis in cases whereby those data are already provided. So in cases that you've done your quantitative research, you've done your competitive research, you know who the user is, you know who you are building for, you already have a timeline that you want to work on the product. The next thing you want to do is jump on like start ideating. So like I mentioned, this process is not linear. It's not something that you go from, you have to understand the problem, then move. So in some cases you might even start sketching the moment they tell you what's the solution, like you in your head, because when somebody is communicating a problem to you, in your head you're already thinking about, oh, what it would look like, or how I would solve this problem, even without the data, right? It doesn't mean that you have to start, but you can start sketching out ideas, or okay, this is what it would look like. Then based on your decision, we'll now finalize what the visual design would eventually look like. But the truth is, after you've done your research, what I do in my process is I start sketching, or I start doing some wireframes, low fidelity design without color, just to, like, visualize some of, like, just ideating ideas that comes to my mind, brainstorming. If I'm working with someone, we brainstorm together based on the data that we've gathered. Then after which we'll not jump into design. So sometimes you might want to validate that brainstorm session, like for example, some of the different ideas that you come up with, you might want to validate it with maybe the stakeholder or the client that you're working with, just to get their point of view, that does this solve the problem, does this solve the problem we are trying to, like, solve, does it solve the problem itself for the user. Sometimes you can even test with the user, just you can test with the user just by showing them what you sketch, and just validating, just doing like a mini validation, just to understand, just to be sure that the solution that you want to go for on the long run would actually solve the problem. So the next thing you do, or the next thing I do, is jump into, like, doing high fidelity design, doing the prototype, just making sure that everything works the way it's supposed to, just having everything visually okay. Then the next thing I do is just validate, do final validation, test with the user, the actual user, which is very, very important. I don't know how important, like, validation and getting feedback is super important when you're building a product. And there, in most cases, you might not have direct access to your user. That's why we have some products like Maze that you can use to test your prototype, just to know, you can do A/B and B testing to know, okay, which one visually, in terms of experience and in terms of visual, would solve the problem for the user. Doing all those tests that just to validate your design, basically. So that's what I do next. And then the last thing you do, obviously, you tender the design, and then the developer start working on it, and then at the end of the day, you launch the product. If it is a new product, if it is a new, if it's a new feature, you add the feature to the product. If it is a revamp, you have to, like, launch the new revamp and get feedback. So one thing I also want you guys to have in mind is the fact that feedback, design is not a process that is finished, right? So even after the product has been launched, after which people are already using it, use the design, you can still go back to the first stage where you have to do research all over again. Maybe because of the feedback that you're getting from your user, you need to go back to your whiteboard to, like, start doing your research again to be sure that, okay, why are they having this problem. So design is not a process that you get to finish. It is a continuous process that you continue to improve on the product, but I just want to communicate that this is the process that I go through whenever I'm working on a project, whether it is a new project or I'm trying to revamp a project, or or it is a new feature that is being added to an existing product. So yeah, basically just understand who your users are, understand the problem, set a timeline, have a timeline that that would work for you. Then then the second thing, you want to ideate, brainstorm, whether with whoever you are working with, or you are working alone. Brainstorm, come up with different ideas, sketch out those ideas. Sometimes, if you have the time, validate with your clients, just or with the stakeholders that you are working with, just to be sure that what you have, or the idea that comes to your head, or the solution that you have, is what everybody is actually visualizing, that will solve the user's problem. And then the last thing you want to do, you prototype, and then you do final validation with the actual users, just to get feedback before they spend a lot of money building the product, and then ending up to find out that the product is not usable, or it's not something, or a feature that the user does not even need. So yeah, so those are the process that I go through whenever I want to design or work. Like I mentioned to you guys, this process is not linear, it's completely very flexible. If you watch this video to this stage, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also share my channel or my videos with people that are interested in the kind of content that I put out. And also don't forget to comment if you have any question, if you have a topic that you like me to talk about on this channel. Also drop it in the comment section. I try as much as possible to respond to all the comments under my YouTube video. So drop your questions, drop your review. If there's a topic you would like me to talk about, drop it. And I would also love to know what your process is. If it is different from what mine is, I would like to learn also from you guys. So thank you so much, like I mentioned, for watching this video to this stage. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also share this video with your friends, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.